Hello, greetings, and salutations. Welcome aboard my podcast. I am Jason with Jay's Paradise Travels. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience seeing the Baltimore Orioles. Now, you may be wondering, if he's talking about the Baltimore Orioles, why is he wearing a Detroit Tigers shirt? I'll get into that in a moment and explain why. Before I do that, a little housekeeping to go over, just in case you want to go on vacation, which I hope you do. And if you'd like to go perhaps on a cruise, which is my specialty, or maybe you'd like to do what I do and adopt this as a hobby of yours and go see stadiums like I do. Either way, if you want to go away, let me know. You can reach out to me in a couple different ways. One way is through social media. I have an Instagram and Facebook account, and they're both the same. Jay's Paradise Travels. Jays, there's no apostrophe in there. Jay's Paradise Travels. You can reach out to me through a message on either Instagram or Facebook. Or if you don't want to do that and you prefer sending me an email, you could do that as well. My email address is j.paradise.travels@gmail.com. That's jay.paradise.travels@gmail.com. All right, now that is out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about today's episode, my experience with the Baltimore Orioles. Once again, you might be thinking, why is he wearing a Detroit Tigers shirt? Here's why. So, if you've been following me and been listening to my podcast for a little length of time here, you'll notice that when I talk about a team, I like to have one of their one of their shirts on. When I first started the podcast, I didn't have that, but as time went on, I started adopting it where I got a shirt from whatever the team is that I've talked about, or even if it's a cruise or destination, if I have a chance to have a shirt that represents it, I'm going to do that. I thought I had a Baltimore Orioles shirt. I really did. I sincerely, honestly thought that I had one right in that closet back there. That's where I keep my shirts. And for the prep work that I do for all my notes that I take down, things that I look up, and pictures that I take in, and everything to do all the prep work that goes into recording one of these podcasts, I did everything that I normally do for the Baltimore Orioles, thinking in my mind that I had an Orioles shirt there in that closet. I didn't. I'm looking through it. I had no Baltimore Orioles shirts. Oh well. So what am I gonna do? Do I just wait till I get a shirt and do it? No, I already put in the time and the energy to put down these notes. I've got it all prepared. Show must go on. I decided to grab a Detroit Tigers shirt. Why? Well, they actually did play the Detroit Tigers one of the times that I've seen them. I've actually seen the Baltimore Orioles twice. One time when I was a teenager, pre-teenager, something like that, and then years later as an adult, right before I got married. I'm going to talk about both of them. Obviously, the one that I was just like a pre-teen, teenager, I don't have any pictures for that one. That's okay. I can at least tell you the experience with it. And then the one that I had gone to when I was an adult, you'll see pictures of. If you're watching this on YouTube, that is. Let me talk about the experience, the first one when I was a kid. Now I'm gonna go all the way back to being a kid with this because Baltimore was a city that I never lived in myself, but my parents did live there when they had first got married. And my dad came over from Greece. He had some friends that he knew that were Greek that live in Baltimore. And of course, when they lived together after they got married, my dad and mom, they had some Greek friends there. Okay. Occasionally, we would go out to Baltimore and visit some of those friends ever since I was a little boy. As a little boy, I liked sports, but wasn't as didn't know much about it or anything like that. I just knew that it existed. So I didn't really think about it too much as a little boy. But then when I got older, as a little bit of a preteen, teenager, and had always had the desire to go to games, even since I was a little kid. Um, when we were going there, I'd already been to some Detroit games at that point, and I remember being in a chiropractor's office of all places, and looking at the newspaper and seeing the Detroit Tigers schedule, and we were going there on a Friday, and for the weekend, and I looked at it. I think it was a Friday. Pretty sure it was a Friday. Looking at the schedule and the day that we got in, the Tigers were going to have a game in Baltimore uh, as like their last game of that series. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And when I was a little boy, like I said, growing up, we went to Baltimore a few times. Little boy, and we were taking a tour with our friends of Baltimore, walking around the harbor. I did see where the Orioles played, and I believe it was at nighttime. I remember that, and I believe there may have even been a game going on. I could hear like the roar of the crowd, which I found very fascinating. This was way before actually had this as a hobby, but it was part of the what I had always said that started the hobby. Like my fascination seeing the stadiums. Whenever most of the time was when we drove by them, but this time I actually saw it with my own eyes walking by the stadium because we were touring Baltimore with our friends and I got a baseball that had the Baltimore Orioles logo on it. It's kind of like a souvenir, and I kind of just pretended in my mind. Again, I'm a little kid. Pretend in my mind like someone hit a home run and went out of the stadium, and I caught it. That was my ball. Um, so there was a little bit of, I guess you could say, history with that. Um, Having that desire. Again, this is way before I made this a hobby or anything. Fast forward a few years. Now we're going to Baltimore for a little trip. We're going to visit our Greek friends. I'm at the chiropractor's office, and I'm looking at the paper. I see that the Tigers are going to be in town. Their last game of the schedule for their series is the day that we get in. So I bring it up to my parents. They didn't really say too much because at this point I hadn't gone to a ton of games, and it wasn't a hobby. It wasn't anything. It was just something out there to do once in a blue moon. So we go to Baltimore, get to our friend's house, and we're visiting, sitting in the living room, whatever. We're visiting, and I bring it up. And it's a husband and wife, and they had two kids that were roughly my age. Um, and the wife is like, "Yeah, yeah, go to the game. It's a nice night out. Go take your son to the game." And so I'm like, "All right." They let us. I didn't say they let us. I mean, they didn't care that we were leaving them. My mom didn't go, but it was just me and my dad, and we ended up going up there and walking up, buying some tickets at the stadium, and getting to go to the game. That was my first time ever going to see a game outside of Detroit. That wasn't a part of my official hobby. My official hobby, and I've talked about in a previous podcast, my first game as an official hobby was the Cleveland Browns. But my first game ever outside of Detroit was the Baltimore Orioles. And that was the game that I went to. And who were they playing? They were playing the Detroit Tigers. Thus, I called an audible. I kept it so that I mean I'm still going to do the podcast even though I don't have the shirt. I'm just going to do it with the Detroit Tigers shirt on because they did play them that day. I'll talk about the actual game of it. Now again, this was kind of like pre-teen area, teen area. Growing up, I'd always been very close with my mom. Not as close with my dad growing up. Um, Maybe just different interest or whatever. I don't know. And it was just we weren't as close. We're very close now. Um, but at that time we got to go to the game. That was probably one of our closest bonding memories that I can remember with me and my dad. And I'm sure there were others, but that was one that really stood out to me. And who would have known? Who would have thunk it that 30 years later, however many years ago that was, 20 to 30 years ago, we went to that game. He would still be accompanying me to games, and we'd be going. He'd still be coming with me, going to all these different stadiums, including Baltimore. Just a few months ago, a couple months ago, whatever it was, that we went and saw the Ravens, and I did a podcast on that too. Feel free to check that podcast out. Yeah, so me and my dad went there, and we had a nice little father-son time going there, and got to enjoy the game. Came back to the friends and enjoyed the rest of the weekend with the friends. Whatever else happened that weekend, couldn't tell you. Don't remember. That was the first game. Now the second game, fast forward, that was I don't know 11, 10. Fast forward like a decade. Now I'm in my what am I 20? It was 2010 that we went. So 20 mid 20s. I'm in my mid 20s. At that point, I did meet Selena. We were uh, together. We weren't married yet, dating anyways. So yeah, fast forward to then. Now I'm a flight attendant. And I actually did go to see the Washington Nationals, which is very close. I have a podcast on that. Check that out. It was the day after, um, what was his name? Strasburg? His first time pitching. It was the day after that I went to the Nationals. So it was part of a trip. I finished that trip, however long it was, 3 day, 4 day trip, whatever it was, as a flight attendant. Got to see that Washington Nationals game on the layover. Came back to Houston, where I lived at the time, and then immediately flew out, went to Baltimore the next day when the trip was done, and visited those same Greek friends that we visited years ago. I got to stay with them again, husband and wife. Now their kids are adults, moved on. The husband went with me, and I got to go with him to the game. He was willing to go, and that was nice. Went to the game, and then flew out. Basically, stayed with them that night, flew out the next day. Appreciated their hospitality. So that was like the experience of going to Baltimore to see these games. Now let me talk about the actual games themselves. The first game, and it's interesting that, and it probably stands out in my mind because it was my first ever game outside of Detroit. Where it fell in the innings, I don't remember, but I do remember this. Detroit had a 2-1 lead going into the ninth inning, so it was a tight ball game, a bit of a pitcher's duo there. And as a kid, I was excited about it, excited going to the game. And it was 2-1. They were leading, so obviously I'm happy about that. In the ninth inning, they ended up scoring 4 runs in the ninth inning, just broke it wide open to take a 6-1 lead, and ended up winning the game 6-1. It was something I remember because I had the best of both worlds. I had a tight game, 2-1, which can be exciting, which can be fun to be a part of that. And I also had a Tigers blowout to enjoy too. So I got kind of the best of both worlds. Tight game, blowout in the ninth. They won 6-1. I was obviously very happy about that. Um, and then the next game after that, now I'm in my mid-20s. I go back to the game. I go back there because it wasn't officially part of my hobby. Even though I had seen the Orioles play in Camden Yards, I did not have a camera with me. And when I officially made this a hobby, there was a few stadiums that I had to go back to go see because I didn't have my camera with me, as that ended up being part of the hobby. I still have one more to go. I have to go back to Madison Square Garden and see the Knicks. I've seen them before, and I need to go back again. But anyways, Baltimore was one of them. I ended up going back, had my camera, was able to do my hobby, so I was able to take the pictures on the outside. It started out being a day game, and by the time it was over, it was at night. So well, it might have been nighttime at the time. It was an evening start, anyways. But in the summertime, even at 7 o'clock, the game starts at 7. It's going to still be light out. Um, yeah. Anyway, so in this game, now I got my camera and be able to take pictures. Cool. It's it starts out in the very first inning. Baltimore scores a run and then scores another run, 2 single runs to take a 2-0 lead out of the first inning. Right off the bat, we're getting a couple runs in. Awesome, cool. Now I am going to be rooting for Baltimore because it's part of my hobby. I'll go root for them. They're not playing Detroit, so I'm going to root for them. They're up 2-0, and they're against the Yankees too. So I get to see a division rivalry. I've never been a humongous fan of the Yankees to begin with. All right, cool. They're up 2-0. Well, Yankees end up scoring a run in the second inning, cutting the lead in half. It's 2-1. And in the third inning, score another 2 runs, 2 single runs, make it 3-2. Now they got the lead. Fourth inning, nothing goes on. Bottom of the fifth, Baltimore gets to get a home run. The only home run I got to see all day that day. So they end up tying the game in the bottom of the fifth, make it 4-3. Or excuse me, 3-3. In the bottom of the sixth, they added one more run, tacked on another run, was able to make it 4-3, took the lead bottom of the sixth inning. A few innings to go. Nothing happened after that. Baltimore ends up winning 4-3 over the New York Yankees. Good for the Baltimore Orioles. I was happy about that. So I enjoyed being able to see them the first time because it was my first ever game outside of Detroit, and what in a way was a start of a long list of stadiums that I would eventually go to outside of Detroit, and then being able to go there again as part of my hobby, take the pictures I wanted to take, and to be able to root for them. They won the game 4-3. As regards the stadium itself, the name of the stadium officially is Oriole Park at Camden Yards. I think for short, just Camden Yards. I've always known it as Camden Yards. I've always called it Camden Yards. And I want to say probably one of my more favorite stadiums when it comes to baseball stadiums outside of Detroit that I got to visit. And it could be part of it because it was my first ever game outside of Detroit, and there's just that nostalgia when you're a kid and whatever. So that could be kind of part of it too, but I've always enjoyed it. I kind of looked it up. Obviously, I kind of look up some stuff on it. The capacity of it is 45,971. Pretty typical for that. The attendance that day that I went, the second game, I didn't look up the first game. I don't even know the date of the first game, so I wouldn't even be able to look it up. But the attendance of it was 27,064. I kind of would agree with that. There did seem to be a decent amount of people there. Obviously, not completely full, and the attendance that it showed wasn't. Sometimes these attendance numbers are, in my opinion, kind of bloated. Like, no way do they have that many people. Um, this one, I could kind of see it being the case. So the attendance was 27,000, and next to it is like a warehouse. I guess it's a historic warehouse, at least according to Google. B&O warehouse, and it kind of like is out in the outfield. And there's also connected to it Camden Station, which I thought was kind of cool. That was something that I did kind of vaguely remember there being like a train station connected with it, and I wasn't quite sure if that was an accurate memory or not. Because sometimes when you go back, I mean, even the second game I went to, which was in my adulthood, is still 15, 16 years ago almost. And then when you go back even further as a preteen, now we're going 20, 30 years. So sometimes the memories you have, but they might not be totally accurate. You just as time goes on, memories can fade or become obscured. So I looked it up, and sure enough, there is like a Camden station that's connected to it, which I was like, oh yeah, that's right, there was a train station. So I was accurate in that, which I thought was kind of cool. And then according to Google, it's famous for this like retro ballpark design, which kind of includes like having that red brick along with a city skyline. And I guess come to think of it, yeah, that was the case. I didn't realize that that's where it originated from, I guess back in 1992. Um, but that look was something that I did enjoy seeing. I thought that was a cool look. And again, being able to be connected with the train station, in addition to having that warehouse in the background, which I believe we did walk by, at least walk by one of them, anyways, makes for a really nice stadium to go visit. Again, one of my personal favorites. I remember when we first moved up here in Michigan, which was shortly after that. So that was in June of 2010. We got married in December of 2010, moved up to Michigan in June of 2011. And talking to somebody who's we that got brought up, and that stadium got brought up, and I did mention at that time kind of being one of my favorites. I guess kind of to a degree, it still kind of is when I look back on it. It is nice, and it's pretty near the inner harbor too. So again, when we were visiting and touring Baltimore before, we were around that inner harbor. We were looking at it, and that's when we weren't too far from the stadium when I was able to see it more up close. Whether whether or not we actually did like walk right up to it, I don't know if I just kind of saw like a little bit of a distance, but either way, it was close enough where I could see it. Really nice stadium, um, and really appreciate the design of it and what it has there with the guy, and even the in the outfield. Uh, you got obviously you got the scoreboard, the big scoreboard, which of course everyone has that, right? Um, but it's kind of got this like old timey looking clock on top of it, which I thought was kind of cool. Um, so I enjoyed being able to see that too. And then as regards just kind of some miscellaneous things when it comes to the Orioles. Um, one thing that I think about when I think of the Orioles, I've always kind of enjoyed their little logo, that little bird. Orioles are in general kind of a neat little bird. Um, but one of their most famous players ever to play for Baltimore and the sport in general is Cal Ripken Jr. I got to see him at least twice. uh, yeah, because well, when did he start? Pretty sure he was in that first one. But he's known for like being the Iron Man of baseball. And when they say that is because he had this long consecutive streak of being able to play games. In fact, the number was 2,632 consecutive games. I mean, that's incredible. Um, that is an incredible. Not one day did he get the sniffles. Never caught a cold or flu during that whole time. Hangnail didn't nothing. He didn't break a bone. Didn't get fatigued or anything. He went that entire time, 2,632 straight games and played. That is pretty incredible to be able to do that. I don't know if he beat Lou Gehrig's record and I'm not even sure uh, who's even closely behind that. There might be someone that's approaching that at some point. I don't know, but a lot of times you're going to have it. Something happens, so, something random happens and it takes you out for a game or something. But apparently with him, nothing ever did. And during that span, he had multiple MVP awards, 400 plus home runs, which I got to see one of them at Comerica Park. We were in the outfield, and he had a home run that was right behind us or right in front of us, one of the two. And there was we were into a game. This is side. I'm not talking the Tigers, even though I got the Tiger shirt on. But I did go to a game. One game I went with some friends as a teenager. They were playing the Orioles, and there was two home runs that were hit right where we are. One was right in front of me, and one was right behind me. I didn't have my glove with me. I could have caught a Cal Ripken Jr. home run, but I didn't have my glove with me, and I didn't want to try to catch it with my bare hands. I've had opportunities for that a few times, and I don't want to do it. I could just imagine it breaking my hand. I just don't feel like dealing with that. Not for a ball. I'm okay. Anyways, so one of his 400 plus hits I've seen live in person. It came right in front of me or right behind me, one of the two. And then on top of that, he also had over 3,000 hits and over almost 1,700 RBI. 1,695 was the so just incredible stats, an incredible player, and apparently he does a lot of things outside of baseball too um, that I want to say philanthropy work or something like that. I didn't dig too deep into that, but seems like a stand-up guy, heck of a ball player, and I'm glad I got to see live in person. That was real nice. And I do remember at one point during the game. Now this was going back to the first game, the one when I was a preteen, and we were sitting uh, on the third base line, um, lower level. In the second game, we were in the upper level in the outfield. Anyways, so we're down there, lower level, first base line, and there was a guy some rows in front of us just yelling, jeering at one of the outfielders. And was it Trammell? It was yelling at, I can't remember who it was, but he's just yelling, jeering, being obnoxious, whatever, for a little bit. At a certain point, at a stoppage in play, the ball player, I think it was Trammell, comes out to like walks out from outfield up to the stands and starts talking to the guy. I don't know what he said, what that conversation was like. No clue. I could only see it from a little bit of a distance. Then he left. After that, dude shut up, never said anything again. I just was, I laughed at it now. I laugh at it now. Back then, it was just kind of interesting. It was kind of young, but maybe I chuckled at it back then too. But it was interesting now that like I never see a player come to talk to a fan. I don't know what he went. I don't know if he told him to shut up. I don't know if he told him I'll call security on you. I don't know what was said, but I never see that happen where a sports player will come up to a fan who's jawing at him and talking junk, say something, and then it's all done. I never see him come up to it. If you do, if you hear about it, it's negative reactions, like someone yelled at him or tried to hit him or did hit him or something like that. It's like a negative story like that. Never do I see him come up to him, talk to him, and then go away. And then even if that did happen, it's amazing that the fan actually listened because fans can tend to be very fanatic because that's where the word fan comes from. And sometimes they just want to be nuts about things and become savages about it and just never want to be decent. So that was an interesting little story that I remember with that. I don't remember too much about everything that went on that night, but that was something that I remembered. And it was cool. Two cool. I enjoyed both experiences there. I enjoyed being able to go there for the first time with my dad, and we had a nice father son time during that first of many games. For someone that is not his hobby, he has seen a remarkable amount of stadiums compared to the average Joe, just because of going with me through association with me. He's gone and seen a lot of games, a lot of different stadiums, and then the second game, being able to go back, see him win, see him beat the Yankees. All good times. And if this is something that you would like to do yourself, if you would like to come see the Baltimore Orioles or any other team, or if you want to go on vacations, cruises are my specialty, whatever you like. If you like to go away, let me know. Again, you can reach out to me through Instagram or Facebook at Jay's Paradise Travels. That's Jays, Jay's Paradise Travels, no apostrophe, make it easier for you. Feel free to send me a message. You might see some, you'll see some pictures up there of my travels. Not everything, because I didn't have Instagram and Facebook back when I was, 11 years old. Wasn't out then. So it doesn't have everything, but it does have some stuff more recent. And then if you want to email me and reach out to me through email, you can email me at j.paradise_travels@gmail.com. That's jay.paradise_travels@gmail.com. You can send me an email too, and we can discuss things that way. Also, in the description below here on YouTube, you'll see links. There's a link to my calendar that you can book an appointment with me, and we can get together with through a phone call or via Zoom, or you can look at my website, and on my website you have the ability to contact me there. So there's different options with it, but definitely would appreciate it if you reached out, trying to be your travel agent as well as your family, friends, travel agent. Make this world a happier place, one vacation at a time. So feel free to reach out and feel free to share it with other people. And along with this video too, if you did enjoy this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, share it with others, tell your family and friends about it. Feel free to leave comments if you have some experience in Baltimore, seeing the Orioles or any other team. If you're from Baltimore, you want to let me know your experience there. Whatever it is the case, I want to hear about it. I want to hear your experiences. Please let me know, and love to be able to discuss anything like that with you as well. I hope you did enjoy this video. I hope you did like it, and learned something from it, took something away from it, and be able to whet your appetite to want to travel like I do. Feel free to again reach out to me if I can help you with that. I would love to do it, and I'll talk to you guys again another time. Take care. Bye bye.